With all the hype around crypto, new coins popping up, wild innovations dropping literally every single day, you really have to ask yourself, what is actually holding the whole revolution back? What's the single biggest obstacle preventing true global adoption? Because there is a massive hurdle here, and it's basically the core roadblock, stopping this tech from seamlessly blending into our everyday global infrastructure. Well, the short answer, it's a lack of interoperability. Right now, the blockchain world is honestly, it's just a bunch of isolated islands. You've got these incredibly powerful networks, but they're totally siloed off. They literally can't talk to each other. And for traders, businesses, or really just everyday users, that isolation creates a ton of friction. It completely throttles scalability. So the industry is desperately crying out for a bridge. And that is exactly what we're getting into today. Welcome to this explainer. I'm so pumped to guide you through this, because we're looking at what might honestly be the ultimate answer to this massive fragmentation problem. Today, we are unlocking the Quant network. We're going to dive into the tech, the real-world applications, and the economics behind how Quant aims to get tens of thousands of totally isolated blockchains actually speaking the exact same language. All right, part one, the missing link. Introducing the Quant network. So we know isolated blockchains are the problem, right? Let's look at the solution. At its core, the Quant network is a distributed ledger technology service provider. But here's the absolute key takeaway. It makes it incredibly simple for business systems to create apps that communicate across different blockchains. Actually, scratch the idea of just linking a couple of obscure crypto tokens. Quant is actively going after the isolation problem for massive, real-world business systems that desperately need secure cross-network communication. And the sheer scope of this connectivity is wild. We are talking about bridging absolute heavyweights. Think major decentralized layer 1 blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, connecting directly with traditional enterprise-grade blockchains. By building a bridge between these massive, fundamentally different networks through its Overledger gateway, the Quant protocol gets closer than pretty much anything else out there to solving the interoperability nightmare. Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of Attack. The 4 protocol layers. Okay, let's slow down just a bit to look under the hood, because to make this massive interoperability work, Quant divides the heavy lifting across 4 specific layers. First up, the transaction layer. This is your storage and consensus hub, validating operations and keeping them consolidated. Next is the messaging layer, which handles data transfer. You can kind of think of this as the core interpreter. It uses metadata to translate messages so different blockchains can actually understand each other. Then we've got the filtering and ordering layer. This handles the search history, neatly storing messages in a database so off-chain validations are totally organized. And finally, the application layer sitting at the top. This sets the communication standards that all the other blockchains have to follow, essentially running the whole show. Honestly, if you only remember one thing from that technical breakdown, let it be this. Quant acts as the universal translator for blockchains. That's the big micro summary here. All those complex layers, the transaction storage, the metadata messaging, the filtering, the strict application standards, they all just boil down to creating totally seamless, frictionless cross-chain communication. Let's jump into Section 3, the Overledger Gateway, powering MDApps. So, how is this actually applied? Well, Quant is built on Ethereum, which means it gets to piggyback off that ecosystem's incredible security and smart contracts. And that brings us to the real crown jewel of the network, the Overledger DLT gateway. Guys, this is literally the first blockchain-agnostic API gateway in the world. And being blockchain-agnostic is a massive deal. It basically means the gateway plays favorites with nobody. It doesn't rely on just one network. It's built from the ground up to facilitate true interoperability between entirely different ledger systems, connecting worlds that were completely cut off from each other before. And the way this translates to real-world scaling is a total game changer. Historically, standard decentralized applications, or DApps, are stuck on a single network. If it's built on Ethereum, it lives on Ethereum, period. But with the Overledger gateway, Quant introduces MDApps, which are multi-DLT applications. These MDApps can operate on multiple ledgers at the exact same time. It's literally like upgrading from a dusty, single-lane dirt road to a massive interconnected superhighway. Now, why should developers care about this? Because MDApps give them the freedom to cherry-pick the benefits of each blockchain without getting bogged down by their specific limitations. It's total freedom. Let's say a developer wants the absolute rock-solid security of Bitcoin, but they really need the smart contract flexibility of Ethereum. Well, an MDApp makes that totally possible. They aren't boxed in anymore. All right, let's look at the money side in Section 4, tokenomics, the utility of the QNT token.
Look, a network this powerful needs a serious economic engine to keep it running. Enter QNT. This is the native token of the Quant network, and since Quant runs on Ethereum, QNT is an ERC20 token. But listen, this isn't just some speculative digital coin sitting uselessly in a wallet somewhere. It is the absolute lifeblood of the entire Overledger network, and it has some very specific, baked-in utility.
In fact, there are three main ways this token sustains the network. Number one, it's used as payment for network resources. So if a business needs API access, data, or wants to connect their conventional system to a blockchain, they pay for that in QNT. Number two, gateway operators have to use QNT to pay their annual licensing fees just to participate in the network. And number three, the treasury rewards. The Quant treasury actually pays out QNT tokens to those gateway operators as a reward for facilitating all that transaction traffic. It's honestly an incredibly smart, closed-loop system that drives constant demand for the token while simultaneously securing the network. Which brings us to one final, really vital question. The sources we're looking at point out that there's a lot of global skepticism right now, mainly due to rising sanctions and regulatory clampdowns happening all over the world. But in a climate with that much uncertainty, the demand for a secure, agnostic, seamlessly connected infrastructure is honestly higher than it's ever been. So what do you think? With its multi-ledger MDApps and that powerful Overledger gateway, is the Quant protocol the final answer to blockchain's massive interoperability problem? It is definitely a fascinating thought to chew on, and it makes the future of this tech something you will absolutely want to keep on your radar.